Hey, gang, Ross Brand, along with Professor Nez. It is episode 7 of Ross and Nez. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot of stuff to get to today. Instagram's got a big, huge update with highlights, actually something that's gotten me almost excited about. Stories, Nez, this is kind of crazy, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. And also, we're going to talk about why some platforms succeed and others fail, particularly when it comes to live streaming platforms and apps. As you probably have heard, Fire Talk is no more. And also, Leland Best is going to join us. He's got a new book out on live streaming, and he's going to share his insights both from a technical standpoint and from community customer relationship standpoint, what makes different platforms fail or succeed. But before we get to all that, Nez, can you imagine me shoveling snow?
Yes, I can, as a matter of fact.
that was my Saturday.
I actually thought that was your full-time job.
It is. I go from house to house ringing bells. Hey, you need a shovel?
Yeah, exactly. I got something you can shovel in my front yard.
Why hire the guy with the plow? I can just drag the snow.
Yeah, exactly. You could use a little back-breaking work, for crying out loud. You've been sitting down way too long. Yeah. But here's the thing. Hey, guys, I'm really excited about the show. Share this out.
Yes.
Ross, is it just me? Doesn't it seem like, if you're in this space, if you're in the online world, things are changing. I'm super excited about this show because things are just changing at rapid, hyperbolic speed, ludicrous speed, and staying tuned in with all this stuff. And I got to apologize because when you have kids, Ross, you don't have kids. Thank God. Anyway. But you don't, when you have kids.
First, let me apologize to the human race. I am sorry I haven't yet.
Oh, believe me.
But there's still time and there's still hope. So
we're gonna put a plaque to that recognition, in Washington.
That'll be on my tombstone. At least
you should get the Nobel Peace Prize for that contribution to society.
He went live so much he didn't have time to reproduce. Thank you.
No. Thank you for the gene pool has been saved. Here's the thing.
Yes.
When you have kids, this is why I have a little bit of a cough. So if I sound kind of raspy, or I actually think it makes me sound a little sexy, but I know thinking about Nez and sexy in the same sentence is not what you want to do.
Hey, we're trying to grow a new audience.
Ross, why do you look sick? Ross, why do you look sick right now?
I'm disgusted. First of all, you sound like you always do. I can't tell any difference.
Do I really? Okay, cool. I thought I sounded a little raspier. I appreciate that. I might be coughing a little bit. I'm just getting over something. But, as the diligent consummate pro, I'm always plowing, no pun intended, forward.
Yes. We'll bring it all together.
That pun was intended, actually. But when you have kids, all the parents who are watching know this. When you have kids, you pretty much get every cold virus on the planet, because they're always touching things and they're always putting their hands. Here's my thing as a professor. I've been so good, knock on wood. I'll knock on my head here. Knock on wood. I've been so good about not getting sick because this is really cool. This is kind of Larry David-esque. You'll like this, Ross. I'm so consciously, not that you're a big Larry David fan, but I don't know. But consciously, I actually make sure that I don't touch doorknobs. I don't touch my face when I'm teaching because, these universities and schools are hotbeds for all the latest diseases. And
how do you get into the classroom?
I do. You know what I do? You're going to laugh at this.
You take a paper towel from the bathroom and you go.
Kim Doyle's in the house. Good to see you guys. Carlos, you know what I do? I do wrap the shirt around the hand. And then I turn the doorknob. I do that vibe.
And then the shirt goes back. Then the shirt goes back against the body, and you get the germs that way.
The shirt goes back again. Well, I didn't think that far. I didn't say it was a foolproof plan. Obviously, I'm sick.
Then you touch the shirt. Then you eat.
Yeah. Well, usually you don't eat with your shirt, Ross. But thanks.
No, but you do touch your shirt with the same hands that you eat with.
No, there's a certain part of the shirt. It's like the collar part. You don't touch. Never mind.
You open the door with your collar?
Yeah, I open the door.
I can't even imagine how you could do that.
Look at Zeph. Zeph does that too. Thank you, Zeph. Share this out, guys. You're going to love this show. Please. Sharing is caring. No, Ross, I take my entire shirt off. So I'm pretty much a bareback gorilla. And And,
you open it with your back hairs.
Yeah, I've got more back hair than you do have on your lawn right now. Anyway, that's another topic. But here's the thing:
this is really going off the rails.
This has gone nowhere fast. But the point is I've got a little bit of a raspy voice, and I want to apologize to the viewers, not necessarily to you, Ross, but I want to apologize to the viewers.
Haven't I suffered enough?
Jeff, I have a bottle of Purell. Purell, if you want to sponsor us, we're welcoming that. I have a bottle of Purell in my car. It's one of those 2-gallon Purells. Trust me, I'm all over it because I can't afford to be sick.
Keeping live streamers clean for centuries. It's Purell. Find out the latest discounts at rossandniz.com/Purell.
By the way, did you hear back from IHOP yet, Ross?
I haven't. But we're just gonna run with it and pretend that they sponsor your syrupy segment that's gonna come up later.
Thank you.
I think we should do round 2 of that, even though nobody really enjoyed round 1.
No, least of all us.
Yeah, so it snowed this weekend. Nez opens doors with his collar of his shirt, and believe it or not, I got out of my chair to shovel.
I can't
put
believe
a chair
that.
outside, and I just rolled down.
You know what it is? Here's the cool thing about live streaming too, Ross. You know what it is over here in Southern Cali? It's 83 degrees out here.
Oh yeah, that's.
I mean,
great.
we got fires everywhere. By the way, thoughts and prayers. I mean, fire. Having a fire season in December is just pure capital I insanity. Dan Courier, the YouTube man. Dan, good to see you. Dan has a great YouTube channel, does a lot of tips and strategies. Good job, Dan. Good to see you.
And speaking of YouTube, you can find us at rossandniz.com/YouTube.
God, I love you. Great segue. I didn't set him up for that, but the man's a genius, folks. Don't you just love it?
Wow. That's your nice quotient for today.
That's it. Okay, I'm done. I'm pretty much done.
Keep that up. We're not getting any ratings.
Yeah, I've fulfilled my quotient. But, it's interesting that you're on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. And, I know we're going to talk about Fire Talk here in a second. This is the power of live streaming, isn't it? Like being able to connect and span time and location is completely bridged in a fraction of a second. It's just, to me, the fact that picturing you snowing, picturing you shoveling snow.
I control the weather, people. If it snows, I did it.
You're not molting, you're snowing.
The fires, though, are not my fault.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't discovered fire yet. But
yeah. I mean, it's now in Santa Barbara. It's thoughts and prayers. I mean, it's insane. Awful. It's 83 degrees in December. That's never happened before. I mean, that's insane. Wow. So anyway,
is it anywhere near your area or no?
Yeah, we had. I mean, not. Thank God, we were very lucky. We avoided, a lot of the. We have avoided a lot of the serious stuff, but it was pretty close to us. Our neighborhood wasn't affected, thank God. But yeah, definitely thoughts and prayers go out. Kim, you want to see my cough medicine? I've got a full stash right here. Yeah, maybe way too much. Robitussin, if you want to sponsor us, no.
You ever hear the Chris Rock routine that like his dad's answer to everything was Robitussin?
Oh yeah, put Robitussin on your knee.
Yeah, somebody doesn't talk nice to you. Take a little Robitussin, you'll be fine.
Did you get shot in the left foot? Put some Robitussin on it. I love that. That's a classic. I love it.
So, have you tried these Instagram story highlight archive things that came out over the weekend?
I really want to hear from the people in the chat because I personally have not dived too deep into it. I know it exists. This is a big thing. It's a huge change. Boy, look at how these platforms are really trying to really induce more engagement from their creators, from their user base. I think this is a perfect way because what is the main objective of this feature, would you say, Ross?
I just think it's to give, when you have a good story and people are interested, it gives it a new life, right? So you put it into your highlights go on your profile, and you can make different albums out of the highlights.
Right.
I don't know whether they call them albums or not, but you make different little groupings, right? And you can it's almost sort of like Pinterest in that you can pick the cover photo and you can position the cover photo. So like when I created an album on my personal account for Ross and Nez, and then I could position you right out of it. And
thank you.
Just open it up. No,
I love how you took this beautiful new feature. I found and you somehow found a way to just abominate Professor Nez. Thanks a lot.
So that was one of the things I liked about it.
Hey Ross, with friends like you, who needs enemies?
Yeah. Well, I figured it was enough of you on one time cycling through. The second time in the highlight, it just So actually, I made several different albums out of it. It's sort of, I'm the last person to any of the stories updates, right? Like I didn't like Snapchat, never really used it, got on it for a month or two, and then just left it. Instagram stories, they're all right. I'll watch some stories from friends and stuff, but not big on creating stories, except if I'm at an event or some type of all-day thing where it's like I can share little pieces of it along the day. But this is different, and I see this as being something that, companies, people building their personal brand, trying to get ahead in their career, any different way you want to market yourself or your business or whatever, there's a use for this. Because when someone comes to your profile, obviously they can watch your stories if you have them, but that's only what's happened in the last 24 hours. This is a way to give people like a little highlight reel of who you are, what you do. So, for instance, on the Ross and Nez account, we could put how you subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. And one way is you go to rossandnez.com/iTunes and you subscribe, and we would love it if you left us a review as well. But what we're really saying is that a company can use it to onboard people to, new customers, to onboard them for a new product. They can talk about their latest sale. Here's our latest 4 sale items or whatever. And you can click. I just see any number of uses of it. A student job searching could have a couple of story images of highlights from their resume or from, samples of their work or whatever. A speaker could have some 10-second clips of themselves speaking that they put into their highlights, into their stories, save it. And then, I'm just thinking there's unlimited use for this, and it's very different from how people have thought about stories up until now.
And here's the thing, like, Kim Doyle and Dan, we have a couple people in the chat saying that they haven't really got into stories yet and testing it. We did a, podcast, an entire episode with, Roberto on YouTube Reels, which is their version of stories. Facebook has upped their game with stories. Stories are here to stay, and stories, the engagement. I know there's analytics on this. I don't know the approximate or exact figure, but I know the analytics on Instagram stories is that more and more people are paying attention to stories than actual newsfeed content, which is really interesting. So I think that Instagram, recognizing this, created this brand new feature. And I love what you just said there, Ross. It's amazing communicating who you are, your value, your purpose, your business, your value proposition to a whole new audience. And Instagram's growing like crazy. A lot of people are talking about Snapchat is dead. I don't necessarily agree with that. I know you're allergic to it, even though I tried to give you some Snapchat Benadryl. That didn't work.
Snapchat's been dead to me for over a year and a half.
Yeah, exactly. It never really lived for you.
Frankly, Fire Talk's basically been dead for almost a year and a half, but it just officially. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. We just officially had the funeral. Yeah, but stories. Think of all these companies. And I think being a LinkedIn coach and consultant, I'm really curious to see how LinkedIn's going to react to this. One of my predictions on Ross's amazing blog was that I think LinkedIn will go live in 2018, but stories are here to stay. This is a great snippet, short form execution platform that you can implement for your strategy that I think is just another great way to get that kind of awareness for who you are, what your business is, what your brand is, even if it's just you as an individual, you know, being a creator.
And I think it's you know, it's just another format that people can communicate in, right? So
exactly.
if you're, you know, not everybody's good at live streaming. Not everybody likes to create 7-minute YouTube tutorials. Not everybody's a blogger, whatever. For some people, their strength is telling stories and photos and snippets over the course of a day or whatever, and they can do great stuff with that. They really can. And I think the highlights, I'm curious what people think. What did we miss? Like, what other uses could you see for the highlights? I'm trying to think of other things, but I just think that if we were to like sit down and talk about it, you know, after the show, we could probably come up with like 10 or 15 things you could make highlights out of.
You know what, Ross?
Would be an introduction to yourself or your business or your product or service, or just something you like to do. I mean, it doesn't have to be with any sort of monetization in sight. If you're passionate about playing chess, you could have pictures of, you know, chess pieces or chess moves. Or all right, that was maybe not the
Jenga,
most
more
exciting.
Jenga than chess.
Yeah, probably Jenga would be the one. You know, whatever it is, right?
So yeah, so Kim's asking, can you explain highlights again? And I'm going to pin that, but really quickly, just
I didn't do that good a job the first time around.
Yeah, or the second time. Anyway,
there was no second time, but thank you.
Well,
I'm glad you can see the future. Let's try again.
This is the third or fourth time is not going to be any better.
All right.
So no, but this further confirms. This just further supplants the idea that video, which we love. Live streaming video is another branch of video that has different qualities and immersion. It's all about video. I had a client very recently. I'm not even kidding you. He said this beautiful statement. He said, "Yo, Nez, you know, there's a lot of different career coaches and LinkedIn consultants out there. The reason I picked you, it didn't have anything to do with your credentials. It had nothing to do with your experience. It had nothing to do with your years in this game. It had to do with your video. Your video personalized everything." So talk about another facet that you can add into humanizing who you are, your business, your brand. That's what Stories does. Excuse me. But you want to try and explain this for Kim again?
I'll do it again. Better this time, I promise.
Yes.
Well, no.
This is the revision.
Really.
Here comes the revision.
Okay, so you put your stories are little snippets in time, right? It's a 10-second video, it's a photo, and they go into your stories and they stay there for 24 hours. Now you can archive your stories and make highlight albums that go on your profile. So
it's like kind of like further edit. It's like editing, being able to edit a video, right? You're editing your stories.
So it's sort of like creating Pinterest albums out of your stories.
Really cool. Yeah.
I think that's maybe one way to think about it. But now you can archive your stories. You don't have to save them to your camera roll. You can archive them within your Instagram account, and then you can choose which ones to add to different highlight albums if you want. You know, I mean, Dan says I use stories as a look into my normal life as opposed to marketing my brand. Right. So there may be an aspect of your normal life, and I'm not sure what that is because neither Nez or I have normal lives.
Yeah, what's that look like? Hey, Dan, what's a normal life? Define that. Carlos says something really good. Carlos says it's like a quick trailer to your IG, which is true.
Exactly. So it's a great way to introduce yourself. Yeah, Kim, they do show up on your Instagram. Yep. On your Instagram profile, and that's where you would watch it. You'd go to somebody's profile and you know, instead of just scrolling through their bio and you know, their feed, you can actually get to know them in this way as well. And as Kevin Black says, it sounds like how Facebook does those memories. Yeah, it's sort of like that.
I want to also add what Dan says. I use the stories as a look into my normal life as opposed to marketing my brand. I think that in order to be successful in the online world, like DJ Khaled is a really good example of this, you need to bridge those two. There needs to be a beautiful, you know, correlation between normal life and business. because the idea of marketing as a business, quote unquote,
Right.
I don't think that's as appealing to people in social media anymore. We know that social media is the predominant form of communication, pretty much today, okay, on the internet.
Right.
And so in order to get that, awareness, in order to get those sales, conversions, leads, what have you, marketing yourself as a normal human being, being the brand. It's like what Jay-Z says, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, right? So it's like finding that bridge. I think stories, and I think this new highlight feature is a beautiful way of really constructing that infrastructure.
Mm.
Did I say something newsworthy or
I don't know. I stopped listening
incredible?
about a minute and a half in. So
for a second, I got a little tingle that Ross was actually impressed with something Nez said.
I was, and then it was enough already.
Well, that was fast. That didn't last long.
Well, let's bring up Leland Best and find out what he thinks real quick. If he's into using stories at all before we move on to platforms and live streaming. Do you use Instagram stories at all? And do you care at all if you could save those stories and post them on your Instagram profile and sort of like Pinterest style highlight albums?
Well, I got to admit, Ross, I want to first thank you for letting me come on the show with you and Professor Nez today. It's a pleasure to be here for one.
Good to see you, Leland.
Thanks, Leland.
I've never been one of those for the diminishing content. I just haven't. I think it's one of those things that I like my stuff to be there when I want to go back to it later. And I know you can save these things. I know you can put movie reels together with all the content you've pieced together over time. But I'm like you, Ross. When Snapchat came out, I opened an account. I played with it. I swiped left. I swiped left. I swiped right. I swiped up. I swiped down. I said, okay, that's what I set it down. And I was finished. That was it. So
not the most intuitive platform on the planet.
No,
not really.
So thanks for joining us. Leland actually has a new book out, and we'll talk to him about that in a couple minutes. He's also doing community management for VidPresso, which is a live streaming platform. So Leland's got a lot going on that we want to talk to him about. But first, let's take a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Raise your glasses to Fire Talk. It was a beautiful platform. It had tons of potential. They screwed it up.
Yeah, that's a great.
They also ran into technical cost issues, whatever. Well, what makes these platforms succeed or fail, Leland? One of the things that I find interesting about your book is you don't just get into what platform to use based on the content you want to do, but you get into the behind the scenes of the technology that runs these platforms and the bandwidth involved and all these things that we don't think about when we press a button and go live, as they say.
Just in case, I think it would be best, Leland, I would love for you to take the mantle on this. Explain what Fire Talk, because I think some of our viewers might not know. I know Huzzah and I know Crowdcast and these other platforms and Meerkat, but Fire Talk was kind of off my radar. Do you mind, Leland, going into that a little bit and just R.I.P. Carlos?
I can handle that. That's not an issue, Professor. And what I'd like to start with really is that the fact that those three that you just mentioned, Crowdcast, Huzzah, and Fire Talk, along with Blab as well, all ran on the same basic platform structure, which is what you see behind me, which is known as TalkBox, TOKBOX.com. Now, the problem with that whole infrastructure is that TalkBox charges enormous amounts of money per minute for not only the people who are live, but for every minute that's recorded and for each individual that's on the screen at once. So the problem that started with Blab has kind of proceeded on through Huzzah and Fire Talk for the fact that it's such a costly platform to keep maintained. And if you don't have users paying a monthly fee, then sooner or later you're in the red and there's not much you can do about it. I think that's what failed Blab. Huzzah was bought out by Kickstarter. So there wasn't a big issue there. I think Kickstarter probably has enough money to keep that thing rolling. But when it comes to private corporations trying to take over, it's a little difficult. And if any of you out there don't really know where Fire Talk came from, it was originally a VoIP platform that was just used for PC communications.
Leland, can you
over
boost
internet.
your audio at all? Your
sorry.
volume level's a little low.
Yeah, I apologize for that. Let me see what I got.
Look at this guy's setup.
It looks amazing. It looks great.
Okay, is that better?
That's probably a little
too high.
Okay, how's that? Is
That's
that
good.
Much better. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't test my connection before it came out here.
You're
today.
fine.
So when Fire Talk originated, it was a VoIP or voice over internet protocol process. It was just conversations on the phone. If you've ever seen Pal Talk, very similar in nature originally. It was just a microphone setup. Then they went video. And Pal Talk bought Fire Talk out in about 2015. They originated in 1997. They've been around for years. But when Pal Talk bought them out, they went video. And that was their always-on platform. Now, what happened in April of 2016 was a company by the name of Snap Interactive Incorporated, which you can find over at snap-interactive.com.
No relation to Snapchat.
Not at all related to Snapchat in any way, shape, or form. They came in and made an announcement to propose a merger with Pal Talk. And when they did that, that's when the entire tiered payment system came out. Now, we were using it for free all that time before that. And then all of a sudden, they wanted to charge in 4 different tiers, starting with a 10-minute up to like 15 hours a month, whatever it was. And the enterprise level was given to some of us who came on as early adopters. From Blab, we went to Fire Talk and started using Fire Talk. Ross, we had other guys out there, several of them. The Biz Chicks were out there. Brian Fanza was out there. A lot of people were there. The Young Turks have been broadcasting on Fire Talk for a long time. So when that happened, it was kind of sudden. I was in really close contact with Caitlin and Cy over there at Fire Talk behind the scenes. So I was onboarding all the people that left Blab to come to Fire Talk. I felt kind of bad in the end because I was the guy that brought a lot of people over, and then all of a sudden they got bought out and everybody shut down, and they just said, enough's enough.
I had a great experience using the platform during the 3 or 4 months that I used it. I thought, visually it was far more attractive than Blab. It was very intuitive. It made it easy to run a show. I would do interviews on it even if I wasn't doing a show. It was a great place for recording interviews. In general, the recordings were decent. They had some of the WebRTC issues any of these platforms tend to have, but there was a lot that I liked about it. The homepage was very clean and professional looking. There was potential for discovery. You had a channel that was always on, so if you wanted to think about your content having a second life, it could do that there. You could do playlists from YouTube. You could just pick one video. Like when I was doing daily updates, I would just have that looping. And so anybody who came to my channel could find out what was going on live streaming that day. Plus you get some YouTube views out of it. So that's nice as well. So there was a lot to like about the platform. It was easy to use and everything else. Once they went to the tiers, the rollout of it, like I wouldn't have minded paying for it at all. But the rollout of it is they gave people no advance notice. So if you had a show scheduled that day, you would log in and you would find out that, you only have it for 10 minutes. And if you wanted to buy one of those paid tiers, they weren't available yet. So that didn't really make any sense. So between the time that they froze people's access and rolled out the paid tiers, everybody went to Facebook Live. And once they were doing Facebook Live through some other app, whether it was Huzza or whether, I forget, there were a couple others that maybe were going Blue Jeans. Yeah, Blue Jeans and whatever. Once you got to Facebook Live and you saw the possible growth of your audience on Facebook Live, you never were going to come back to a platform that, you were talking to 20 people. Now, those 20 people did stay the whole show, unlike Facebook Live, where you get hundreds of views and they all stay 10 seconds, except for, of course, our beloved audience who's been with us since the beginning.
Not our peeps.
No, but my point in all this is that how do you take something away but don't provide people the opportunity to buy it back, right? You took away people's access and didn't give them the ability to buy the plan at that time. So obviously they were insulted and they couldn't still do their show. I mean, most people would have said, Crats. Okay, I'll pay $20 and I'll do my show today. That wasn't available. Now they, like you said, they offered me, complete use of it for free, I think for a month or more. But I just, a lot of our friends were using it and got cut off, and I just couldn't ask them to come watch a show. Yeah, like Nez probably didn't get the free plan, and like, who the heck is he? We don't even care if he's on this.
Who cares about Nez?
Like, you couldn't ask people who've just been insulted by a platform to come back and watch your show there. So I didn't accept it. I took off, and but I have nothing but good memories of the shows that I did there. I thought it was a wonderful platform for what it was. It was such an upgrade over Blab. But to get to the point of why these platforms fail, Leland, it's because those that are running on TalkBox can't afford the bandwidth to make that work, right?
That's part of it, but I think you touched on one of the biggest issues, and that was another thing that happened to Blab, and it was part of its biggest downfall, was listening to its community. And I think what happened here is we as professional broadcasters who came to Fire Talk and said, look, Blab is shutting down. I can bring you all the broadcasters you want. Be prepared to onboard. Just let them know what they have available, what it's going to cost, how they're going to access the system, what they want as features. We told them everything these people were going to want. And they listened for the most part. They really did. They were the first to say, I went to Fire Talk and said, look, we need 4 screens. Right. They didn't have them when we went there originally, but they did bring them in because they had the same platform. But what ended up happening, and it's happening as well on other platforms too, like Go Live With and some others that I won't mention that are already gone, but it comes to the fact that the people who are broadcasting know what they want. They know what they want to use. They know the features they want to have. They know how much they want to spend, and they know where they want to broadcast. So if you own a system or a platform and you want people to come use it, you best listen to what they have to say and what they need.
Yeah.
And when they didn't do that over at Fire Talk, they basically just closed their ears completely and said, you know what, we don't care what they say. We're just going to charge them this much money, and we're going to let them use it like this, and this is what we're going to expect. And look what happened. It just shut down.
Right. And so that's why I think VidPresso, where you're at, and they've made in my opinion, a great decision by hiring you to be their community manager, because you understand all this and you've been through and seen the mistakes made by other platforms and what other communities have done well. I think Be Live is doing it right and building community with a group that's active, hiring community manager, creating their own shows, which serve as kind of examples of what we can do with the platform and as a way of engaging the community. I think, you said it all. My question would have been, what can they, but that's exactly what they need to do, right? It's exactly what they need to do, is find out what the people who they're going to be selling to actually want and can pay.
This is indicative also of even the big platforms. I mean, some of the all-star creators, even on YouTube, have been complaining about this, that the administration or the higher-ups haven't been paying as much attention to the creators or listening to the creators. How do you have a platform if you don't have the people who are perpetuating that and creating the user-generated content needed to grow? Leland, I think you say it best, and I think this is something universal, isn't it, for every business? I mean, you see Facebook starting to listen more, Snapchat's starting to listen more, Instagram's obviously been listening for a while. They're growing exponentially. This is another reason that you need to pay attention.
Oh, yeah. And we have to remember, live streaming, a lot of people want to feel like it's new because it has a new flavor to it now.
Right.
It's been around since like 1995 was the first ever broadcast live band. It was a garage band, actually, that did the original broadcast, and it's in my book. But it's a link I can leave in the broadcast after we're done here that if anyone wants to go check it out. They used over half the entire bandwidth of the internet when they did it.
Wow.
Now we don't have that problem, of course.
Right.
But we have to remember those that came before us, and they all put us in the position we're in now, which is now it's public. Now it's open to everybody. Everyone has access to it. It's almost one button access. And like you guys said this morning, I'm the tech guy. I write manuals and guides on how to get into the technical stuff. You guys just want to go do your thing. You want to go out there and push some buttons, go live, turn on your camera and your mic and be done with it.
Exactly.
And that's where we're at. And that's what
that should be on your website, Leland, right there. That slogan. That was perfect.
Yeah, as Carlos Phoenix says, I guess it's live streaming with real-time interaction that's fairly new. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. And
yes.
it took bandwidth issues to clear
right,
before that.
Right. And you see the long link on the screen. That is for Leland's book, which is a great resource. And we have that in the comments. There's an image of it. You can just click that image and check out the book, and you can order it from his website. It's a great resource. What else can people? I know I went right to the techie stuff, but what else can people learn from taking a look at your book?
Well, one thing I started with was the know-how on how to build a home studio. So it goes through memory, cameras, equipment, all the hardware you need to build your own studio right up front. And then I'm talking simple, minor stuff for your everyday broadcaster, your everyday Joe that wants to broadcast. Then I highlight the top 7 live streaming applications, the top 7 live streaming websites, and then I go in on how to do your own live stream and ways you can syndicate your live streams and how you can work better at your live streams, things like that. So the book is a guide. It's not an all-inclusive how-to. It's just simply a way to help lead people into the process and help them understand it better. You can also find that, just to make it simple, if you go to bestliveguide.com, it'll take you to that same link that you put in there, Ross.
Oh, okay.
There. One other thing, if you guys want to find all the equipment I recommend, I just got my influencer status over at Amazon, so you can head over there to amazon.com/shop/LelandBest, and you can find all the equipment along with my book there on Amazon if you want a hard copy like this. And I'm willing to give away a free copy of the PDF here today, Ross, if you want to hand one out to your viewers today. I'd be more than happy to do a random draw or something. How many people are present on the show right now? Can you tell?
I think we have 10 live viewers right now.
I see 11 on mobile.
There you go.
Okay.
That might be me too, though. I don't know.
So
it might be you.
I do enjoy watching my own broadcasts, in case you wonder. I know that sounds a little creepy, but I do.
Well, let's do this. If anyone wants or is interested in a copy of this on PDF, which is exactly like what I'm holding here in my hands, only it's a little thinner.
Type me in the comments. Type capital ME in the comments.
There you go. And we'll go through and I'll figure out how many are there, and then I'll do a random draw online, and then I'll let the person know. I'll inform them direct that they know.
Awesome. Carlos Phoenix says there's me, and me.
Leland,
I think you still only get one drawing, but yeah, Leland is great.
Nice to meet you, Leland.
Before we let you go, tell us what's coming up with VidPresso, what we can expect to see from the platform.
Well, we're pretty excited. We have recently integrated comments as you guys are doing on Facebook on YouTube. So we now have that ability to go out on YouTube, do a broadcast live through VidPresso. We have plenty of graphic overlays, lower thirds, all that stuff is included in the package with graphics that you can overlay onto the show, intro graphics. One thing we can't do yet is movies. So we are working on movie inlets, dropping those into the scene. Mm-hmm. We also just brought out onto, I can't think of the name of that site now, the one where everybody goes to for the new stuff. We're going to be doing a home shopping network of VidPresso, where you can create your own very own personal home shopping network through the system and sell whatever products you want. So it'll be kind of neat. Pretty exciting.
We need to talk, Leland. We need to have a long talk. This is fantastic.
Thanks so much, Leland. It's great talking to you. It's bestliveguide.com. You can check out Leland's new book. Thanks, Leland.
Pleasure being here, guys. Take care and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, my friend.
Wow, that's really cool.
That's awesome. I mean, he's got so much good stuff going on, too, between the book, doing community management for VidPresso, and, of course, he's on top of all the latest changes with platforms and technology and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, to me, that's a huge game changer right there, because that's the one thing with YouTube going live with a third-party software, because everybody, if you don't know this, going live on YouTube, pretty much if you don't go live on mobile, and you're going live straight from the platform, it's a lot of work. You got to go back and forth, check out the comments. You almost need a producer or somebody, an engineer, to help you out there, because it's really, really difficult. So, wow, smart call, good call on VidPresso to tackle that white space.
Yeah. Jeff Adams is here. Welcome, Jeff Adams, community manager for Be Live TV, chief happiness officer and
Melissa,
show host.
Ms. Meliz.
Ms. Meliz is here. We both saw Ms. Meliz at Vid Summit. Kim Doyle, of course, still with us. Great to see you. Dennis Litley, great to see Chef Dennis. William Slace Jr. William, good to see you.
Share this out, guys. Sharing is caring. We would really appreciate it.
And Nazim, we forgot to say hello, Nazim. Alfredo's here too. Both Carlos Cepeda and Carlos Phoenix. And Nazim says he wants to show folks Italy. And some folks, I assume you mean by video, because if you want to give me a tour, I'm going to look to book a vacation.
No, he's going to go streaking in the streets. Of course he means video, Ross, for crying out loud.
And he's saying 5G test is starting in Milan next year. And so imagine the changes that are going to come with 5G, talking about bandwidth and all that kind of stuff.
That's going to be it's just going to get better and better and better. It's going to be, you're going to have such little distortion going live anywhere. You can go live on the moon pretty much, I mean, we're going to be live streaming Elon Musk's journey to Mars with zero pixelation. It's going to be beautiful.
You can see that.
I'm going to put Ross on the list to be the first person ejected into Mars.
Yes, that'll be me. As soon as I finish shoveling snow here in New Jersey.
Ross, I'll see you in 6,000 years.
Hey, we'll be the first remote show from Mars.
I like that. I love it. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, big exclamation point from Carlos.
But this is something that I think more and more companies, more and more people. I mean, look at the universality of what Leland was talking about. Listen, is this rocket science, guys? Listen to your community. Really? Well, yeah, maybe that's not a bad idea. I mean, especially the people who are actually creating, who are going to be the advocates for what you do. It just seems like a no-brainer. I wonder why these companies, there's got to be some other variables, in fact, but I mean, I love what Leland says, and it seems like he's doing that, in spades, right? He's really listening to his community. I love what he said about, making sure that we understand what the type of broadcaster, what they implement, what their strategy is, their intention, their purpose, what are the little idiosyncrasies that they, will help them be better creators and better broadcasters, period.
And Leland says you can get a free 14-day trial of VidPresso, no credit card required, and then get half off your first month with the code BCB Live. So that's nice. Cool. Thanks for offering that to
Liz. This is an everybody show. This is not a guys show. It's an everybody show. We support all backgrounds, all genders. We don't discriminate. I only discriminate against Ross. Nobody else.
I'm the only one who gets it. We've had great female and great male guests on our show.
We want everybody,
and we'll continue to have everybody represented. I do want to mention that I think another part of it is being present. Like, it's not just about asking or pushing out content or whatever. It's about being present to hear the conversations that are going on.
Are you turning into a mushy Professor Nez?
No, my God, no.
I thought you were going there. Your voice changed.
No, but you look at what Be Live has done, right? And they have a group, and in that group you can ask questions, you can get help, you can see what shows are going on, all that kind of stuff. You look at they have a community manager, they have different shows and stuff. So they're a big player. Yes, it's their feature set is a big part of it, but the fact that they've been present and that they've been engaged with their users and they've listened to them and all that is big. And that's what I see that VidPresso's doing by hiring somebody like Leland as well, is to really get a voice of the community in there and to have somebody who's going to be active in engaging the community.
It's just
that wasn't like too much like one of your sappy speeches.
No, that was I stopped listening after the third syllable.
Good.
But it's basically
I find your responses are better when you don't listen.
Miz says, I love to joke around. We love you, Miz.
Yes.
Here's the thing. It's about taking the ego out. Take your ego out. This is universal. This is evergreen, if you want to call it evergreen. But it's like, having that sense of humility, having that sense of, okay, this is all about understanding that, hey, I have a lot to learn. This could be an idea meritocracy. The best idea wins, right? Taking the ego out of the game. This is something I think is one of at the epicenter, at the core of any successful endeavor or venture, whether it's a live streaming platform, whether it's a retail store, whether it's a university, whether it's, a mom and pop Italian restaurant, or it's a family. Idea meritocracy, I think, is a really big deal, meaning the best idea wins, and being willing to listen to that. Take the ego out of it. I feel, and I have a big ego, believe me. Ross will vouch for that. But I try. I really, really try. I'd be lying if I said it.
Anybody who thinks because their voice is slightly raspy from having a cold that anybody in the world would care. Yeah. Yes, the women are flocking out of California to hear the guy with
now that I think about it, you're right. That was pretty narcissistic, wasn't it?
Maybe a little bit.
But
who am I to judge?
I'm just going by experience. I've heard a lot of people comment in that fashion. No, I'm kidding. But here's the thing.
Looking at the chat, nobody's commented about it. But
thanks a lot, guys. Thank God.
Nobody says this is a scientific survey.
But the only way, this is the last thing, and then I'll stop being mushy. The only way that my consulting business, the only way that my online business has ever been able to thrive is my ability to really make my clients, my customers, my team, everybody feel like what they say has value, what they input is going to be heard, period.
Yeah, it's also I don't know, I had a point, but
did you really? Are you sure?
Yeah, I listened to you for too long. See what happens? I start listening to you.
See that mush voice starts to encapsulate you, and you get hypnotized.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Finally, somebody agrees. Thank you, Kim.
I don't know.
What a great chat. What a great chat. We got some great people in the chat today. So good to see you guys. Really, so good to see you guys. What do you guys think? How are you going to use? Leave in the comments below. How are you going to use the new IG highlights? What do you think about what happened to Fire Talk? Could this be a potential for other companies, for other industries? What are your thoughts on that? We'd love to hear them. Ross, what did you want to? Did you remember your point, or is it still gone?
No, you just totally emptied my brain with that.
Well, I guess once you turn 80, things start to go sour. So I totally I empathize.
Although when the 80 and over games come, I am in good shape compared to the competition.
You don't look a day under 90.
I don't. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I always praise my co-host.
Is there anything else you wanted to say before I cut your mic?
With friends like me, who needs enemies?
Kim says, now it's time to create more stories. I'm going all in with video and we'll be implementing highlights. So I'm
about video.
Kim is such a big content creator and really believes that everything is content, and content creation is the way to go. And so if it's something that she's grasping on, that there's going to be value in it, and that she's going to do it well. So welcome, Fernando. Good to see you.
Yeah, video. I'm telling you guys, I can't tell you how many times I've been able to just my YouTube channel, and I don't care what the numbers are as far as what's the barometer of success, but seeing people real people, by the way, real people leaving comments, real clients, real individuals. We talked about automation, and we talked about that in a previous show. You should go check that out.
You see what you did? Yes. And you see what you did? You chased Nazim away. He doesn't want to be a guest anymore because you're too harsh.
Nazim, are you kidding me? I've had Nazim on my show. Nazim, you would fit right in here. Nazim is great. No, Nazim tells the truth. Nazim told me, hey, Peter, you're doing way too much stuff. I love you, Nazim. You would be perfect for this. Are you kidding me?
Did he tell you to stop the mushy talk?
Yes, he did.
Good.
And
Nazim's very wise.
I haven't listened at all.
Obviously. I just wanted to see if he gave you the advice.
But I can't tell you how many times I've had real people, REAL, tell me your videos are what drew me. Your videos, being able to see you, hear you, personalize, contextualize. Yes, Kim, video. Live streaming, I think, is the Cadillac of video. You know, Doyle Brunson used to call No Limit Hold'em the Cadillac of poker. I call live streaming the Cadillac of video.
Nice. You could put that on one of your quotes on Instagram. Can you quote me?
Oh, you want to talk about my Instagram?
Yeah. I'm glad you cut back on the mushy talk videos, but you got a lot of quotes in there. All of a sudden, you've left the original content game, or what?
You know, I
come across one of those sites where they have nothing but quotes for your Instagram, and you bought a subscription. You said I better use it.
Unlike you, Ross, I actually check out, and I actually, you know, I'm aware of what other people are posting, what other people are saying. Yeah. It doesn't have to always come from me. I can appreciate a very valid, beautiful, inspiring saying, and I like to share that. Being the sensitive, you know, ingenious individual that I am, I like to share.
Oh, God. Is this over yet?
Was that mushy enough for you?
And that is Nez's mushy moment. Nez is
brought to you by
IHOP.
It's brought to you by IHOP.
Find it at rossandnez.com.
Shop into a Ross and Nez pancake coming to an IHOP near you. IHOP, if you're listening, you've got two of the best ambassadors on the planet. Hello.
And of course, you can find our podcast at rossandnez.com/iTunes, rossandnez.com/iTunes. And we'd love a subscription on YouTube, rossandnez.com/YouTube. In fact, anywhere we are on social, just type rossandnez.com/the platform, whether it's /Facebook, /Twitter, /Instagram, and you can connect with us online. And thanks so much for coming out to the show today on Monday afternoon. It's great to see everybody. I did remember, Nez, what I wanted to say. And what I wanted to say was
good.
For platforms and apps and developers and coders and anybody in business, right? You need to know what you don't know. And you need to be able to recognize that the strength that allowed you to create that business isn't necessarily what's going to keep customers or help you go to the next level, right? So you can have coded the best platform or app in the world, but if communication with an audience isn't your best strength, then you need to bring in some people who can do that. And if at the same time you're a salesperson or you're a communication person or a marketing person, maybe you were able to come up with the basic tech for an app or something, but at some point you're going to need a coder or you're going to need somebody who handles the technical side of things, right? So I think a lot of these apps go wrong is they get to a certain point and they think they can do it without having to listen to their community or without having to assess the talent that they have on hand and say, how can we improve what we're able to do, whether it's our outreach? How can we do that better? How can we communicate better with our customers? How can we get more attention for ourselves in the press? Or, you know, how can we make sure our finances in order, or make sure if we're going to have an IPO in a couple of years that we're doing all the documentation that we need and all that kind of stuff. We're abiding by all the, you know, regulations and laws and all that. There's a lot that goes into business. And I think where some of these platforms went wrong was not saying, okay, we need people who know how to who are from this community, know how to communicate with this community. And, you know, that's why I'm very impressed by what BeLive and VidPresso are doing by hiring community managers and getting the dialogue going early on in their, you know, product life cycle.
And very well said. And again, that just further confirms, doesn't it, Ross? Take the ego out of it. Know what you don't know, and just be okay with that. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. I mean, that's how you That's how you generate, a new direction. That's how you innovate. That's how you adapt. Just know what you don't know. Pay attention to the people who are the practitioners of it. Watch what happens. I mean, I know that you and I both, we do a lot of content outside of Ross and Nez too. And we love to ask you guys, by the way, watching, listening, what would you like to see more of on Ross and Nez? We don't really have a specific set time. I don't know. Maybe Mondays might be a good time because we're getting a lot of engagement here on Monday. But what would you guys think? Leave in the comments, DM us, email us at rossandnez@gmail.com, or find us. We're all over social. Let us know what really, strikes a chord with you and what would you like to see more of. I know that you and I, Ross, we kind of pride ourselves on catering a show, a program, a content around what our audience really needs to hear. And I think that's a great way to look at these platforms as well.
And what people are talking about or want to hear our opinions on or want to share their opinions on. I think while all the brightest minds, right, always tell you it's all about evergreen content on video and it's all about evergreen content. I think there's certainly an important place for that in a long-term strategy for developing your online footprint and everything, but I don't think that's necessarily what serves the audience most. And I think what serves the audience and what really inspires us is to talk about what we would be talking about if we were hanging out, having lunch or at a bar or something like that. What aspects of social media and live video and business would we be talking about? And I think that's kind of our guide, but we'd love to know from you guys. And certainly if there are certain evergreen topics that you'd like to see us address or, sometimes because we're kind of spontaneous, we'll just get into one of those topics in the middle of the show without. I was going to say
we sprinkle evergreen all over our kind of current news or update or more kind of specific content. I think that we talked a lot about universality. We talked a lot about listening to the community.
Right.
I mean, that stuff hasn't changed for thousands of years. Right. I mean, if you want to grow as some type of entity, well, you can do that by yourself, or you can actually be a real entity and have a large tribe, following, customer base, user base, what have you.
Yeah, Leland says Mondays.
Leland gives us the thumbs up
to stream.
Is that a sponsorship?
Yeah. Alfredo says, I need to know what I don't know. It's very important. Very important. And
Alfredo, Ross and I don't know a lot, so don't worry about it.
No.
There's a lot we don't know.
What I do know is that this has been a blast of an hour. And if you enjoyed it too and want more content like this, do subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a review. It's at rossandnez.com/iTunes. You can check out our website. Just drop the iTunes and go to rossandnez.com. But we would love a subscription and a review if you like what you hear. rossandnez.com/iTunes. And that wraps it up for episode number 7. Nez, in spite of it all, I really did have a good time with you. And, of course, it was awesome having Leland on. You can check out his book, bestliveguide.com. And we will be back with another episode of Ross and Nez soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care, guys. Thank you.